Hi, I'm Yuchi. I'm from the Special Olympics Singapore Programme. I'm here to share about the Unified Football Programme with us. Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm a section head with IT College West, and I've been volunteering with Special Olympics Singapore for the past about 9 years. Also, I spent some time with Football Association of Singapore in the medical committee. In terms of my football preferences, I much prefer natural grass to artificial turf. And lastly, I do love my kopi o kosong. Okay, so how it got started for me. Okay, it all started in 2011 as part of my NTU Sports Science and Management program in university. I did this adapted physical activity module, which is about creating programs for people with different situations and different needs. So it was a one-off observation, and we went down to join the training at, I think that was IT Bishan. And we played a friendly game with the athletes who were preparing for the World Games that year. So in the picture that you see on the bottom left, okay, it's me and 5 other classmates with the boys who were in the squad for the competition. Okay, I didn't get too much out of that whole experience. Perhaps it was just a good way to spend the afternoon doing something meaningful and worthwhile. But at the same time, maybe it did planted a little bit of something inside me that maybe that's something I want to do for a bit longer. So moving on to the next year, well, coincidence or not, I think I did the second adapted physical activity module. And this time round, we have to do a 1-month observation of training programs. So I spent 4 Saturdays to observe the boys in training and as well as take part in their training program. So I had a little bit of a chance to coach a certain portion, let's say the warm-up portion and perhaps a drill or two. And at the end of the whole thing, I had to write a short report of this attachment. After which, I had the opportunity to coach one of the 2 boys' teams. And with that, perhaps it was the first foray into my coaching with the team. The team did pretty well for the competition. We were champions for our division. And with that, perhaps I was thinking whether I can do this for the longer term or not. But at that moment, I wasn't really committed yet. At that moment, I was just still figuring out, well, can I still do this or should I do something else? You can see from the picture, we had two teams that were training for it. So there was the A team and the B team. I took the B team. And both teams did pretty well for that competition held in Singapore. Okay, then moving on to 2013, that's when we did the national games as an outreach team on the picture on the left. That was at NUS. And then we actually had our first taste of 11-a-side football. So with 9 athletes and 7 partners, 2 coaches. So Coach Dave, who is the head coach, and myself as assistant. We traveled to Thammasat University in Bangkok, Thailand. That was in June 2013. And what happened is that we played in this kind of like World Cup qualifiers for our Special Olympics competition. And this was the Asia Pacific portion. It was a real learning experience for us. We figured out that there is actually a huge gap, okay, between the playing abilities of our boys against the other teams in the region. Okay, we played SO Berat, which is India. We played Indonesia as well as Malaysia. Okay, we didn't win any of the games. However, we did field a very young team, and it wasn't the best preparations heading up to it. Whatever happened, I think it was just a whole new learning experience for us as a whole team. And a lot of the boys, after that whole experience, came back highly motivated and really invested that their football journey has just begun. It was also the first time we had a physio traveling with us, which was an interesting experience. Some of the boys actually had the first time to be immersed in ice bath just to cope with the competition. Okay, after the competition, Dave had to step aside, and Gabriel, who was also the coach at that period of time, was embarking on a new career. So I took over as head coach and I had to figure it out how to do it. So for me, at that moment, I didn't have a coaching license. So it was quite tough trying to convince myself even how to coach the team. Okay, I just got started with my job as a lecturer with IT College West, and it was not so easy to balance both. We also had to deal with this whole idea that at that moment of time, we had a lot of athletes and partners, but they are moving on to the next stage of their life. The older athlete had to now work full-time and they can't train as often as they want. We also had partners that drop off and do other things. So we didn't have the healthiest of numbers at that period of time. Another challenge that we faced was that we had changing training grounds. So we were training at Malan, subsequently at Tanglin School, Chaoyang School, and finally we in fact had a more permanent space at Bendemeer Secondary School. So those were some of the challenges that I faced as a new head coach, but I think we did manage to emerge from that. So what happened was that I used my training sessions as an instrument for myself, in which my IT student can come and play football on a Saturday. Because I was doing fitness training, this allowed my students to develop some understanding about sports coaching, about strength and conditioning and exercise science and things like that. Okay, we really had a chance to play in competition. So on the top left, you see one of the competition photos that took place at HDB Hub. On the top middle, okay, you see some coaches from the region as well as athletes taking part in a coaching workshop. Okay, we also had a chance to do some CSR. So we had a chance to meet Finn Balor, one of the WWE superstars that came to Singapore a few years back. We also see on the bottom center, okay, a photo where many of my students are inside during one of the training sessions, all competition at Malan Road. Okay, in 2017, we also had National Games. That's when we played once again as the outreach team in the competition in NUS. Of course, throughout this whole period, it was really learning to become a better coach, a lot of learning, a lot of YouTube videos at night, a lot of web resources, and attending different workshops just to know a little bit better about how to become a better coach. Okay, with that, okay, we move on to what is happening right now. Okay, right now we really try to ensure that training program is consistent. Okay, every Saturday morning, we make sure that we train as often or as regularly as we can. We probably only take some breaks during the Chinese New Year period, as well as Christmas period and the major holidays. If not, we train every Saturday. Okay, it's important to maintain the fitness level of all our players. So sometimes the players do go to the gym or go for their own regular runs on their own to keep up their fitness level. On the right, you see that we also share our knowledge with fellow educators in the different special schools, for example. So that is one of the sessions where myself and Seng Po, after completing our AFC C license, we had a chance to then conduct this workshop for our teachers in the different special schools. So it's really about sharing the training programs, coaching pointers, how the boys and the girls from the different schools can level up. Okay, I think that was in fact for one of the preparations for the inclusive sports program. I think that was for 2018. Okay, we were really fortunate to have a chance to meet legends. So athletes and partners alike, we got the chance to meet our football idols in Bobby Robson, Dennis Irwin, Ledley King, Julius Caesar from the top clubs when they came over here for those exhibition competitions. The boys also get a chance to travel for competition. So this photo is taken in 2018 when the boys prepared and left for KL for competition. So a lot of these are motivation for both our athletes and partners to continue to train. And for our younger athletes and partners, is really the chance to play against other countries, be it locally or be it overseas. Okay, like I said, in the past, or for some of our training previously, it was a lot of 5-a-side, but we have eventually evolved into more of a 7-a-side to 11-a-side team. So having a lot of athletes and partners around, we can play and we can train in the 11-a-side setting. And how do we continue that? To continue to motivate everybody is to play friendly games. So the picture that you see is taken at St. Wilfred on the evening, where we played a friendly game with staff from Sports SG. Okay, it's really about this integration of athletes and partners in our training and our matches. The only problem is a problem for me as a coach. So it's a headache to have maybe 20 over 30 players turn up for a game, and how to manage and how to give everybody enough game time for the game. So one of the ways I go about doing it is to have 3 separate sessions of 30 minutes so that I can field 3 different teams and everybody still gets some game time at the end of the day. For us, of course, moving forward is that we hope to be a little bit more competitive, and we hope to have a chance to perhaps play in a regular tournament and perhaps in due time to play in competitions as well. Okay, of course, we know that COVID-19 struck us last year, and yes, like every other training programs out there, we adapted. So we did Zoom training. Of course, that came along with its own challenges. Just to make sure that all our athletes and partners have got a working smartphone, a working Wi-Fi connection at home, and as well as an adequate and big enough space, okay, just to be able to train and exercise, was not so easy. But in fact, we still managed to adapt and deal with it. Okay, so you can see in the screen grabs, we had push-up sessions, we had very strength-based training because we can't quite do aerobic stuff. We celebrated one of the, I think, National Day with everybody wearing our patriotic colours and waving the flag. And some of us also have very creative backgrounds like the football stadiums or the dressing room of certain clubs. Okay, now that we are in phase 3, we are able to go back to the football field to train. Earlier we had 1 coach to 5 players, after which currently we do have 1 coach to 8 players to train. Yes, it is not as ideal as we would like, but we do adapt to it, and I think we are regaining a bit more normalcy at this moment of time. So what's ahead? Okay, it's really about developing our women's program moving forward. Currently the boys team or the men's team is doing pretty well, so I think it's time to put our focus onto the ladies and women. So we do hope to attract and find volunteers to come in to help us with the women's program if we can. Another emphasis of ours is to really grow our youth and young athletes program. So this involves the whole idea of unified sports again, where we hope to reach out to young partners as well as young athletes to come in and play football. So we hope to get that going perhaps this year and see how we can create this pipeline of athletes moving into the senior program eventually. Okay, as for the men's team, we hope to represent Singapore at the 2023 World Games in Germany. So that's in 2.5, maybe 3 years' time. And we really hope to perhaps play at either the 7-a-side or the 11-a-side platform. Lastly, it's really about this love of the sport, and we really hope that the wider community can enjoy what we do. Okay, of course, my current unified football program is for athletes with higher abilities, but we again don't want to discriminate, and we hope that people with all abilities can come and play. Okay, so in essence, okay, volunteering with the program has given me the chance to learn a lot. Okay, to learn more about myself, to learn more about others. This photo actually is taken at another of our 11-a-side friendly games, and you can really see how this football family have grown. Okay, the two of us in yellow is Sengpo. Sengpo is my sports officer. Myself also in yellow on the bottom left. Okay, and can see a whole group of athletes and partners in the photo. Okay, we have educators like Adi in white. Okay, we have partners from all over the place. Okay, we have athletes who have been with us for 8 years, 9 years. Okay, some of the athletes that you can see in the first picture in 2011 are still in this picture. Okay, you also have people like Naziro, which is a student of mine, and he continues to come and train as often as he can. I think the football training provides us a platform to have some awareness about what is really happening out there, because everybody comes from different background, different situations. Okay, but football is like that equalizer. Okay, where we can all come together, play and train on a Saturday morning. Okay, at different points of life, we do have different commitment levels and different priority may take place. So sometimes, for example, Dennis, which is one of our coaches, he was a new dad a few months back, so he couldn't come and train and coach the boys. So no, he takes some time off. But once he is available, he comes back. Okay, so things like that does happen. So we just have this revolving door where everybody comes in and comes out. For me, I find a lot of joy in sharing my football knowledge with the boys, and it's just really something that I can look forward to every Saturday morning. So for me, it's really to continue to do this journey with the boys, and I think I will still be in for the longer haul. I don't think I will stop anytime soon. And maybe perhaps now it serves as an invitation for everybody here that if you are free on a Saturday morning, you still have a pair of football boots that is in the closet, in the shoe cabinet, and you haven't used it. Okay, perhaps once COVID-19 restrictions are lifted further, please come and join us for a football session. And perhaps with that, I come to the end of today's session.